Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome to another review. This was another game that was also started in 2023, very late. But because we were working on two reviews at the same time, Wild Hearts and Avatar, it didn't really delay the process because there was just so much going on at the time. But we managed to get the review finally finished, finally done, and finally out of the way, ready for the next review, which is right around the corner. Now, I have written a gorgeous page of notes that no one cares about, but I will read them anyway. And we're going to go through this review in the exact same way that we always do. Exactly the same process, so you guys know we're being as fair as possible. And this review is actually sponsored quite heavily because he donated the game to the channel. And Alpha Trigger, I just thank you so very much. If it wasn't for you, this review wouldn't have been done. So, the very first thing that we look into is the choice of music used, the soundtrack, because I do like my gaming soundtracks, and soundtracks can make or break games in my opinion. Now, does Avatar Frontiers of Pandora have a good soundtrack? And the simple answer to that is 100% yes. It has a phenomenal soundtrack that works extremely well within the lore and the adventures of all the Avatar movies that you watch and the game that you actually get to play. And it fits. This soundtrack could easily be in the first movie or the second movie or within this game itself, and it just fits Pandora completely. I can't complain about any aspect of the soundtrack in this game when it comes to the singing, the vocals, and even the melodies that they use. I was absolutely happy with it. I really was. The effects within the game, this was a big positive to me. The explosions in this game were absolutely surreal and they were fantastic to hear. The gun sounds that you get to utilize from the weapons that you're using, they sounded great as well. The bows sounded absolutely great. So around the effects itself, I can't complain again. And usually we already end up talking bad about something, especially it being a Ubisoft title itself. But yeah, in terms of the audio effects that they utilized, I couldn't put any fault on it whatsoever. And even the last category, the voice acting in the audio side of it all, again, I can't complain. All the characters had their own unique dialogue and voice lines. They all had their own actors and actresses, and it all works. It really does. It really works very well. And the main character, I enjoyed the voice actress that done the work on the character itself. And again, I can't complain. I found it entertaining to listen to throughout the whole game. The next thing that we're looking into is the graphics engine that they utilized. We don't care if it's a retro looking game, an old school game, or probably the best looking game in the world. So realistic. That's not what adds or deducts points. It does the graphic engine that Ubisoft used in this game work. And I'm gonna slur a lot of my words. It's 20 past 2 in the morning, so I heavily apologize. But the graphics in this game are probably, and this again could be a big blow. The gaming graphics were unreal in this game. I have not seen in a very long time a game look so incredibly beautiful that it blew me completely the fuck away. It really did. When we entered the game and we got to run around and explore the outside of Pandora, I was fucking just gobsmacked at how beautiful the game is. It truly, the graphic engine was working at its hard core. And we had the game running on FPS because we always choose frames over quality. And though the game suffers massively in a lot of areas from heavy drops of frames, and very, very jittery and very, very slow loading with a lot of the surroundings itself, and you can actually see it loading in. The game looked absolutely breathtaking. At nighttime, it's like a completely different planet that you're on. It looks phenomenal, and they stayed so true to what you encountered when you watched the very first Avatar movie, because that film, even to date, still is fantastic. It's one of the best movies they've got, and I can't complain. I really can't complain. The graphics engine did a cracking job, but like I said, with it running on FPS mode, there is a lot of frame drops in a lot of the areas of the game, and a lot of stuttering with the graphics being loaded in as well. That's something that they might need to polish through and just to tweak a little bit, just so it runs a little bit better. I don't think they'll ever be able to get it where it's optimized efficiently in FPS mode, though I was running the game off of an Xbox Series X. But wow, we did trigger the game to run in quality mode, and again, the game looked absolutely stunning, but it couldn't handle it, so we went straight back to FPS mode just to play on the safe side. Weather effects, there are quite a lot of ambient and also nature weather effects within the game itself. Did it work well? Did it sound well? I can't fault it. The rain was fantastic. I love being in the rain in video games, especially when there's thunder and lightning. I absolutely dig that stuff, and it all looked great, sounded great, and again, the nighttime effects added with weather effects and the fog and the toxic mist and all that, it looked absolutely superb. So can't fault it. I really can't. We did have a few glitches and bugs where enemies would get stuck in terrain, go through terrain, through windows that weren't smashed, through solid matter. We also had enemies glitch through the floor where they weren't lootable, which really annoyed me a lot because it kept happening. So there were a lot of magic black holes where the enemies would get flung through or fall through, and that is definitely going to be impacting the review in some form, because shit like that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't. Especially if you're playing a looter game, which Avatar is, you would be annoyed wasting your time hunting something for it to fall through the floor. It's just it's dumb. Really dumb. But the character model designs with the avatars themselves, with the enemies, they're not bad, but there is a massive lack of enemy variation in this game. You pretty much end up fighting a lot of the same shit 99% of the time. And that is also going to impact the review, because the wildlife, don't get me wrong, the beasts that you encounter in the wildlife, they are beautiful in so many ways. They look gorgeous. They're so well designed. But when it comes down to fighting the core enemy of the game, you're pretty much fighting the same shit over and over again. And so get ready to really fucking buckle down if you're planning on playing this, because it got boring very quick. Though the enemies looked great, the flying choppers that they utilized, they look great as well. You are going to be fighting the same stuff all the time throughout the game from start to finish. You really are. Gameplay mechanics, if you have ever in your life played a Far Cry game, you know exactly what you're about to get yourself involved with. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is basically Far Cry Blue. It is a almost 100% clone of what they do in Far Cry games. From the way you play, from the loot that you can get, from the crafting aspect, from the dominating of bases and stuff like that, where you go around and take bases. It is a complete knockoff of Far Cry, and this is the biggest score impactor of this review, because it is not anything new, especially if you are a fan or have played multiple Far Cry games. And this is fucking disappointing. This is really fucking disappointing in my opinion, because I really wanted Avatar to be something unique, something different, and something that really shined amongst the games of Ubisoft. And what do? Just fucking clone another game and then skin it Avatar. I'm sorry, but it got to a point where you were doing the same shit you would do in Far Cry, and that's not good enough. That, honest to God, is not good enough. And Avatar could have been its own identity. It could have had its own play style. It could have had its own mechanics. It could have had its own uniqueness. But nope. We're going to get the character to run around and occupy all the enemy territories, take them over, declare them as allies, and then move on to another base, dominate that base, claim it as an ally base, and keep on doing it over and over again. And it's fucking boring. Like, really boring. The game completely lost its identity when it came down to how the game is played. You will notice a lot of similarities, if not many similarities, throughout your Avatar journey. And it's, like I said, it's just a massive shame that Ubisoft didn't take Avatar down a completely different style of playing. They were just way too comfortable with all the things that they keep doing in all the other Far Cry games. It's cloning after cloning after cloning after cloning after cloning. They could have made Avatar a completely different game, but they fell down the route of, let's just play it safe, play it comfortable, and do the same shit that everyone has already seen in a Far Cry game. But it's in Avatar this time. So, the gameplay, fun at first, really fun at first, but taking all of the pollution bases, one after the other, seeing the exact same cutscenes over and over again, gets boring and tedious very fast. It really does. The mechanics are, they're just too much of a clone, in my opinion. They really are. The replayability and game difficulty of the game, the replayability is there because it's a fucking monster of a grind fest. The game wants you to take every single base. The game wants you to fly around the map and find every single collectible, because it highlights them all over the map. You can't miss them. You really can't. You just have to find them. You've got collectibles that will increase your health. You have collectibles that will increase your skill points, which you can then attribute those skill points towards certain skills to help you as a hunter, survivalist, as a cook, as a crafter. There's cooking in this game, of course, and we will get to that. But the replayability is 100% there. Even after you've done the story, the game pretty much allows you to go back into the game after you've done, and it's basically like, you know, congratulations on completing the main story. But there's still more to do. There are still more bases that are creating pollution that you need to clear out. There are still more collectibles that you need to find. So bye. Bye, have fun. But if you're into that kind of stuff, then you are going to fall for it 100%. You're going to be like, yes, I can't wait to go and collect the same collectible 150 times. It's just, woo, yay. In terms of game difficulty, We stayed around the mission levels because all the side quests and all the missions, they all have their own numbers, which basically, as long as your character matches that level, you shouldn't find the difficulty too hard, to be fair. But the problem with this game is the fucking AI is terrible. And when I mean terrible, it's bad. Bad. The enemy has probably the best X-ray Hawkeye vision in any game ever made by man. They once they spot you, the entire fucking base knows exactly where you are, where you're hiding, and if you're crawling from one area to another, enemies will pre-fire in the area that you're heading to, meaning you're going to encounter resistance at every turn that you make once the alarm goes off. You're pretty much fucked. They can shoot you through smoke, they can shoot you perfectly through nature, and they can shoot you around walls. So good luck having fun with that shit, because it drove me up the wall multiple times. Multiple times. And I got very frustrated with it. So I went and had a look and see if this was definitely a thing. Not just a me thing, that this was definitely a thing. And it's something that's talked about quite a lot on the Reddit forums as well, that the AI are just way too fucking skanky and cheaty when it comes to shooting. You get hit by every single bullet. No one misses. No one misses. Even if you try to hide, you're going to get caught immediately because they know exactly where you're going. And that's impacting the review because it's very unrealistic, especially when the game wants you to try and be stealthy at first. And it rewards you throughout the game. It's like, you know, here is a fort that we want you to take. If you can take the fort without raising the alarm, we will pretty much double your loot and guarantee you some really cool things. But if you get caught, half that loot gets removed automatically. Even if you survive and you win, we're going to take away half of your rewards because you weren't stealthy. And the only way to get full loot is to be stealthy. And we're going to give you enemies that can shoot through walls and know exactly where you are at all times. So have fun with that. It fucking got annoying. That is all I'm going to say. That is all I'm going to say. Within the game, it allows you to do quite a bit. As I talked about previously, there is features like cooking within the game that you can actually fly around and you can loot. When it comes down to loot in this game, it's a massive loot simulator. You've got nature that you can pretty much loot left, right, and center. Bushes, trees, shrubs, plants. You can pick leaves, pull out seeds. You can pretty much go nuts and do a massive variety of cooking dishes at the burners or the stoves. And I actually really enjoyed that feature because it allowed you to get creative. The game would tell you pretty much if putting certain ingredients together failed once they're cooked, so you don't waste materials trying to cook the same thing over and over again. And you can build yourself a nice recipe list of all the good meals that you like to make, which all have certain unique buffs towards them to help you with your stealth, your critical attacks, extra health, extra defense. So cooking is definitely something to explore if you are struggling and you want those extra perks before you enter battle. The game offers you a tiny variety of weapons. I am not blown away here whatsoever and kind of disappointed quite a lot with the variety of weapons. You start off obviously being an avatar. You get the very classic bow and arrow, which is pretty cool, but the game doesn't want to give you just one bow and arrow. It wants to give you 3 different bow and arrows that you can change from. Woo, variety, am I right? From the short quick bow to the heavy massive bow and your usual casual long bow itself. All different stats, different statistics. You can mingle as you know, to find the right build for you in a way. But don't worry, the game does allow you to use some of the guns as well, which is always fun. The assault rifle and the shotgun. And that's it. That's it. You do get the slingshot, which is one of my favorite weapons itself, but that's just a stick with a sling on the end of it, and a javelin thrower. But the game really didn't get creative when it came down to weaponry. It didn't. It could have added a massive bolt action sniper rifle. That would have been pretty cool to have. I'm not gonna lie, but no. You do get to pick up certain rocket launchers, but they're like a one-time use only. Once the ammo's gone, you know. Oh dear, no more RPG. But the game doesn't give you a big list of weapons. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It plays it way too safe, and it doesn't get creative and branch out and explore that area itself. You can customize your weapons, which is a nice little touch. You can add certain barrel mods to the actual guns, which alter its stats and its statistics. It could help increase more damage towards the human sides, or even nature if you want to be a bit more vicious and attack the animals. You can add magazines as well to the guns, but that's really as far as it goes. It doesn't branch out again and be a little bit more creative. You'll end up replacing your gun very quickly once you find a higher version of the same weapon. So the loot within the game itself is pretty basic and pretty simple, color coded just like you would expect in a looter game itself, with, I believe, again, it's white, green, purples, and then gold. So gold being the best, then purple's next, then green, and then just basic casual whites. So very much like Borderlands, very much like, again, Far Cry itself. You can find like epics and rares and stuff like that, but it just didn't blow me. Again, I would have really liked a freaking sniper rifle. Or even a crossbow. Something that can shoot over and over and over again at a higher fire rate. But no, again, you're stuck with just the basic 3 bows. And yeah, you can customize your character with a very large variety of armor tiers that you can wear. Again, it's the same sort of system with white, greens, purples, and golds. But the game allows you to wear a headpiece, chest piece, arm piece, leg piece, and shoes. Very important. You can also add mods to all of those clothing parts as well to further increase your stats again, because this game is massive in the stats building. It truly is, and everything in Pandora wants to kill you. It's not a case of, you know, you're safe. When you step outside, nature wants you dead and the humans want you dead. So I guess AWA wants to play rebel for a change, because usually AWA would communicate to nature and say, hey, this person's actually a good guy and wants to try and help you, but nah, we're gonna send every fucking creature at you and try to kill you over and over again. A lot of it doesn't make fucking sense, because if you've watched the movies, you know that Sully connected to AWA, and AWA helped Sully throughout the adventures of Avatar. But no, not in this game. Not in this game. We're going to send the birds at you. We're going to send the deers at you, the big rhinos at you. We're going to send the panther bastards at you too. Anything with teeth and legs and claws is coming at you. Good luck. Why? Because they want you to kill it, to loot it, and to use those materials for crafting brand new bows or brand new armor pieces or brand new fucking recipes. It's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. The scanning system that's in the game, it's not bad. I mean, it's like a Batman's detective mode where you can basically highlight key items within the game, and once you toggle the key item, it tells you obviously what you can loot, what you can find out. The encyclopedia aspect of this game is absolutely goddamn massive. It is huge. I went through it 2 days ago, and holy shit, the time was put into it. You can do an encyclopedia on absolutely every single item that's within the game. You can find out about what it is, what it does, how it does it, and all that shit. if that's your thing, going around scanning all the flora, scanning all the trees, all the leaves, all the petals, go knock yourself out. That's what you want to do. Go fucking knock yourself out. You'd probably absolutely, it's probably the best aspect of the game, which is exploring Pandora, which is my biggest strength for the game because it's so beautiful. But you will get bored because it's more. It should always be way more than just about the exploration. It should be about the variety, and the game doesn't fucking give you that variety. The majority of the missions are the same. All the hacking is done in the same way. It's so boring. There's only one style of hacking, by the way. They couldn't get creative with that. And powering up the majority of the RDA stations, RDA or RCA, I can't remember now. It's all done in the exact same way, and it kills it. It really does. You'll end up doing the exact same thing all the time, and that's where I have the problem, because I was getting bored. The game does feature online mode, and I have to give the game credit here. The connection quality and the drop in, drop out, it worked extremely well. I played again with Alpha Trigger, who was the donator of this game, and we had a great amount of fun. So if I was ever to advise you around this game, try to always play it with a friend, because it definitely amplifies the fun aspect within Pandora and running around together as two blue avatars absolutely wrecking shit. So if you were to play this game, highly recommend play it with a friend right from the get-go, and share the experience together. It may expand on the fun aspect of this game. It may do. But I've got to say, the flying is probably one of the coolest things that you can do in the game. It really is. You don't get it right off the get-go, because again, if the game did that, then I don't know, it would speed up how quickly players would push throughout the game itself. They definitely want you to do as much exploring as possible, as much climbing as possible, even though the climbing is so janky and broken. You can skip up the walls and up the mountainsides like I was doing every day. It was so funny. But again, yes, it is funny. But when the game wants you to go up there, you get up there as any way that you can. And I was honestly expecting the game to allow my character to bond with more than just the horse and more than just the bird. I wanted to bond with more animals. Like the rhinos would have been cool to play with. The panthers, the cats would have been amazing to have a bond with. But there is just so much missing from this game. They focus so much on all the repetition that they took away all the variety that they could have put in there. They could have given you different bosses throughout the game itself that all use different mechs of different styles. None of that at all. There is one villain in the game, and he's a massive fucking asshole. He's a bit of a dickhead, honest to God. And you barely see him. You barely hear from him, and that's it. Throughout the whole game, there is no one to really fight other than just the casual bad humans who are polluting Pandora, and you need to stop them. That is the game in a nutshell, and it sucks, man. Again, they could have done so much with it. I would have loved to have fought a mech with samurai swords. Just saying. Or I would have loved to have fought a boss that had, bonded with a lot of the wildlife, and they end up riding that wildlife at you, and you have to fight the boss on nature too. I mean, you could have done so much with this game, but you didn't. You played it so safe, and and it got so boring. And I'm sorry, but it is. Like I said, it's definitely going towards the review. Purchase price, digital pricing and value of content. The base game is £70. Have fun with that. The digital deluxe is £95, and the highest tier which I could find was £115. I did find that Shop 2, which is where I used to buy all of my games, was selling it for £43, which is a massive discount compared to what the digital prices are. So what we'll do, we'll go through the notes. I'm in so much pain because I've been sitting for so long. We'll go through the notes. We'll compare and add to the review, because that's the whole point of the notes. And then we will give it a scoring like I do, and then a recommendation or not. The size of the game is 80 gigs, so it is a very, very, very large game. And to be fair, it shows. When you are flying out in the open world with your mount, the game is fucking stunning in so many ways. It is absolutely gorgeous. It truly is. And it 100% shows in the size of the game being around, like I said, around 80 gig. The customizing is super basic. We've already spoken about that. I would have liked some proper cutscenes as well, not just in-game cutscenes, just proper cinematic cutscenes, because I think they could have afforded that. To be fair, it would have actually added extra drama and extra action to the game. There is a small reference to the movies itself. There isn't a very, very, very large one, but there are a few small references to the movies. We've already talked about the color tier loot. We've already talked about the cosmetics and the unlockables. As you do a lot of the contribution missions, you can unlock more war paints, more hairstyles, more hair colors and stuff like that. So you get to expand on your avatar's image throughout the clans that you're actually working for, because that's what you're pretty much trying to do. I enjoyed the fast movement. I did. The parkouring was pretty fun, but it was, again, climbing was extremely janky. Like, extremely janky. Hacking becomes very boring as they use the exact same system all the time. No outside loading screens. That is definitely a big positive in the game, 100%. Base missions are boring and become very repetitive. Yes, they do. No bosses. We've already talked about that. Frame drops. We've already talked about that. Fast travel really helps throughout the game. This is one very big positive throughout the game. Once you've activated certain sites, you can use those outposts as fast traveling posts whenever you really want to, and you can get from A to B super quick, and that is a big bonus for time saving. The storage space is ridiculously small. It does for a looter shooter game. The two main bags that get full the fastest is monster materials, as in like their fangs, their organs, their stuff like that. That bag will fill up very quickly. And so will the flora, where the bag that you put all your plant stuff in as well. You can dump that into a 200 storage unit, but that gets full very quickly. And then other than that, there's nowhere else to put it. So 200 in storage is too small, especially for someone who likes to pick up every single shiny. That bag is too small. I need much more space than that. Buying weapons and armor is a lot easier than crafting. It is. It's a lot easier. You don't have to do crafting if you don't want to. Yes, crafting has a massive perk to it, where the weapons and the armor sets that you make have much better stats. But if you don't want to do the crafting aspect of it, you don't have to. You can buy a lot of the weapons and the armor sets from a lot of the clans and a lot of the base shops within the game itself, but you do need to make sure that you've got the credits enough, the resources enough to actually buy it. Story is nothing original. I'm not going to spoil the game at all. around what actually happens within the story. I know we've talked about a little part of this, of what you need to do within the story itself, but I need to talk about that because it does play on the review score. It does. It really, really, really does. And I wanted a story that was original, something different, something we've never, ever, ever, ever had before. And we didn't really get that. We didn't. And it's just, again, another missed opportunity, in my opinion. Oh, that's a spoiler. I'm not going to read that one. Oh, no, we've already said that one. The last mission is by far the best mission of them all, hands down. Pretty disappointed with how your entire game is to bring these clans together and help them throughout what they're dealing with. Not going to say what. Some of their story laws of their clan is really good. You do need to kind of pay attention, unless you just don't like the jibber jabber. You really don't, and then you may end up skipping it. But some of the clan backstories are really good, and I was hoping to see more of the clan supporting the player, as in me, around the end game, and I was disappointed with the outcome on that one. Other than that, 15 out of 31 achievements, 36 hours plus to do a full playthrough. Not 100%. There's still a lot of collectibles that I need to run around and go find, and I'm not interested. I'm really, 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 really not interested. So what it boils down to right now is, what would I score it, and would I recommend going out and buying this game? In terms of scoring, I've had my mindset over the past day or two of where it kind of fits in. I have to talk about the positives, and that is that the game looks and sounds fucking phenomenal. It absolutely does. But where they strive in that aspect, they flop in others, like not an original story, very boring missions, very repetitive gameplay, terrible AI, really, 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 really bad. Yes, the game works. Yes, the game is playable and completable. We did have one game crash early on. Didn't get it again though. We were absolutely fine for the rest of the game itself. But what would I rate this game? 6.5 out of 10. Because I really enjoyed the flying. I really enjoyed riding around and exploring. That's one of my go-to things, definitely. The scenery is beautiful and stunning, and the music, the soundtrack works so well. So 6.5 out of 10. Would I recommend jumping at the chance of buying it and playing it now? I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I would massively wait until this game gets dropped heavily in price, or even if you're able to get yourself a subscription, if it lands on like Game Pass or something like that at some point in the future, I would probably then consider playing it then. But I would not pay £70 for this game. No, not when 80% ish of the game is the same shit over and over and over and over again. So 6.5 out of 10. In my opinion, I wouldn't recommend jumping on it right now unless you can get it for dirt cheap, or unless you're playing it with a friend. But like I said, if you are a heavy Far Cry player, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. It's the same shit. Same. So yeah, guys, a massive thank you. I'm sorry again if I've been slurring my words or repeating myself. Like I said, it's nearly 3 a.m. and we just got done in the same week the review of Wild Hearts, which, my god, that's like 70 something hours that we choked into that bad boy. But I hope this review helps any of you guys in any way. It's again just my opinion at the end of the day. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just my opinion. But if it saved you money, then great. If you go out and buy it and you absolutely love it, then great. It's just, again, my opinion. If you did enjoy the review, leave a thumbs up. The links will be in the chat bar down below. The live stream that I do to Kick, and the recordings that we do to YouTube, and the social medias as well. But thank you so much for your time. I love you all. And I will see you guys in the next review. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.